How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Tales from the Crypt Volume 9. This one is called Wickeder, and you get to see the little EC Comics logo forms a dot of the eye. That's pretty cool. But this is Volume 9 of the Papercutz run. I believe it's actually the final volume of that run as well. For those of you who remember, I did a review for Volume 6, and I talked about how I was looking for Tales from the Crypt. Couldn't find any except for at half-price books they had Volume 6 and Volume 9 of the Papercutz run, and that was pretty much it. So we're reviewing this one now, and if I find the others, I'll review them too. Now, I don't know if this comes off as obvious right away on the camera as it does in real life, but let me drag in Volume 6 really quickly, and look at that. This, they were trying to be big and celebratory and make it bigger, but now it doesn't line up on the shelves, and I cannot tell you how much that bugs my OCD, especially if I get the rest of them and then have this one that's not even with the rest. And let me show you the spines there. Yeah, so that's how much bigger it is. I have also, I found, this is the reprints of Tales from the Crypt during when the show was on. I only found one volume of this, but these are the standard modern comic book size, which is also the size of most trade paperbacks nowadays. And you see they've managed to get this volume bigger than all their other ones, yet still smaller than everything else that's going to be on your shelf in trade paperbacks. So that's just wrong foot right off the beginning. But anyway, if we look at the cover here, we see one other difference between these two volumes. This one is Terror, and this one is quite unfortunately not Terror, but Parody. So it's Parody now. But basically, the Stinky Dead Kid is back in Volume 8, which I have not been able to find, but I know about it. Volume 8, they did Parody of a Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and they did Diary of a Stinky Dead Kid. Parody sold well, so they're like, we're going all in on this parody stuff, and then you get this parody of Wicked with Wicked ER, Wicked-er, and you get actually the old witch from the Ghoul Lunatic segment, so that's something. She's in there. I mean, I guess that's good. But anyway, we open it up. We get the sort of inner cover with the Crypt Keeper holding some guy's head. Not quite sure who that's supposed to be, but there's the inner cover with the Crypt Keeper. And opening it up, and we see the other big deal with this thing. I like to show you guys the credits so you can see who did the stories, although it's kind of small writing. I don't know if you can read that super well, but Dead Dog Dies, that's the Wimpy Kids segment. Kill Baby Kill with Scott Lobdell. He's done a lot of writing for comics. Pretty good. Wickeder, that's the Wicked parody, and the Ghoul Lunatic sequences. So, if you remember, Volume 9 was 4 stories. Volume 6 was 4 stories. Volume 9 is only 3, and at first when I saw that I was a little relieved because I thought a few of the stories in Volume 9 needed a few more pages to breathe, and I was like, okay, they're only doing 3, but they're probably going to do them longer. Or at least that's what I thought. Then I started reading it, I'm like, these don't seem longer, and in fact, Kill Baby Kill, the second story there, was significantly shorter, it felt like. So, before doing this review, I went through and I counted all the pages of both of these. This one with 4 stories has, the first 2 are 20 pages, and then the second 2 are 18 pages, plus the Ghoul Lunatic sequence. And then this one has 18 pages for the first story, only 8 pages for the second story, only 8. And then the third story with Wicked, 18 pages as well. So this is 22 pages shorter than your average, than your normal one of these. So sad. But we'll get into it at the end. I think this was put together kind of hastily, so maybe they just didn't have time to put in anymore. But anyway, jumping right into the first story, Dead Dog Dies. This is your parody of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. You get his thoughts up here in on notebook paper. Now, I never read the Diary of the Wimpy Kid books, but I thought the whole thing looked like notebook paper and they were drawings. Here it's just regular art, and he's kind of stylized to look like him. But anyway, he's got his zombie friends, and he says zombies aren't the best friends, and he's trying to have a death day to kind of celebrate, get some fun happening, but all his zombie friends are giving him, like, dirt and stuff because they don't get it. One of them gives him a jawbone, his own jawbone, and he's like, oh man, these zombies don't know how to have fun. But then his one living friend shows up and gives him a dog skeleton he accidentally dug up. And he's like, oh boy, I have a dog friend, but even that doesn't work for forever because the dog is dead and not undead, not reanimated. So he's trying to figure out what he can do about that, and he's, talking to his mom about that, and eventually he goes to bed, and when he's asleep, let me find the page. Yeah, when he's asleep, a regular human dog digs up his dog, his skeleton dog, and runs away with it. And that's kind of the main problem of this story, the main situation. However, I don't particularly want to spoil it, but how the situation with this dog is resolved, this dog character, how they end that situation is just horrible, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, wait, is there going to be some twist on this, or is there going to be some other thing? But no, they just end it really horribly, and I couldn't believe. I'm like, this is not funny, and they think it is, and really shouldn't be in a kid's comic. And it was just, I get to the ending of the story, I'm like, that's terrible. Like, I wasn't 100% on board with this, and I thought probably because I never read the Diary of a Wimpy Kid stuff, and I never read issue 8, so I wasn't super on board, but it seemed overall okay-ish, okay. And then I got to the ending, and the ending was horrible, and I was like, no, you don't, especially if you're trying to act like it's funny, you don't do stuff like that. But anyway, moving right on to the next segment, Kill Baby Kill, and I do like how the Crypt Keeper pops into this one, and you get this politician giving a big speech that's an opening of a deep water oil rig, and they're like, it's much more efficient and safer and cleaner to do this deep water oil rig. But of course, some guy shows up. You can't mess with the ocean will mess with you back, you don't know what you're doing. And of course something starts to happen, and you begin to think, oh man, maybe we shouldn't mess with the ocean. It's actually more subtle at the end than I thought it would be. It didn't go into, where I thought it would. It was a little more subtle. This one's okay. It's the best story of the book, but that's kind of by default. It's fine, but boy, yeah, it's really short. I read through them like, whoa, wait, we're over already. And that's the thing that got me to count the pages in this book. Because, sometimes you're like, oh, that didn't seem too long, but maybe it was, because you're only getting more of it. Because I thought, they would have divided up the fourth story, but then I read this, and I'm like, that is short. So yeah, only 8 pages for this one. That's the biggest problem. But anyway, the next one, you get this opening segment. The Vault Keeper and the Crypt Keeper are going to their little theater, and they're seeing Wickeder. The old witch is missing. The Crypt Keeper seems to know why, though. We go in. Now, from what I thought I knew about Wicked, and I never made it to Broadway to see the show, and I never read the book, but I thought that was a prequel, and it was about the Wicked Witches of the West backstory, but this is actually a sequel to, it looks like, the movie, and for some reason, the wizard and Dorothy have not left yet, and in this version of the story, they're escaping a crowd of angry munchkins on the balloon, and of course the balloon gets shot down, and in the story it's revealed that Dorothy is actually on a murder trial for the Wicked Witch of the West death. Or, well, I guess which one is it? It's kind of hard to figure out which one they're talking about because they changed the names in this one. Dorothy is Dottie for some reason, and the Wicked Witch is Alfalfa. I don't know why they changed the names. They're not particularly funny jokes. I guess to try to avoid copyright, because the designs are really similar. They should be protected by the parody laws, but yeah, so they changed a bunch of names in here. But anyway, she's on trial, and of course things go quite terribly for all of her friends, but the thing worth noting here is the old witch from the Ghoul Lunatic segments does play the Wicked Witch in this story, so I thought that was a clever way to incorporate her into the book. She's not in it too terribly long, but it is cool to see her. But that being said, the humor in this story just didn't work. It's not really a Wicked parody if it's a sequel, and as a sequel, it's a little weird because Dorothy's still in Oz. She didn't click her heels for some reason, and it's one of those where it's like, it's a parody because it's Wizard of Oz with a little bit of violence, but I mean, nowadays with shows like Robot Chicken and whatnot, I mean, you have to really go overboard with the violence to make it shocking and funny anymore. Here's just a little bit of violence, and it's like, hey, look at that gag, and it's just, I don't know, maybe my sense of humor is broken. It's just, I didn't find anything too particularly funny with this story, and when you do horror that's not scary, at least you get cool, dark atmosphere, and, you know, some memorable creatures maybe, but when you do humor that's not funny, it just seems so bland and awkward. The one part I did find funny is they made the Tin Man kind of like a robot, like a Terminator or something, and he has all these machine guns that pop out of nowhere and he just starts shooting at people. I don't know, that's the one part I thought was funny, but overall this wasn't that particularly great of a segment. It ends, they're all there in the last Crypt Keeper segment, and then you get a really blurry ad for Crawling with Zombies. That's not the proper resolution for printing. But anyway, last I wanted to say is there's this note in the back that really makes me feel sad for this whole situation. Overall, this volume, it leans more into parody instead of horror, and it's not funny, and it's shorter, but you read through this, and they said when they did Volume 7, the show was in, the comic was in kind of a bad place. They were worried. They got Volume 8 out, and then Volume 8 with the Diary of a Wimpy Kid parody sold super well, so you can see why they dipped into parody so heavy here. They thought they would save the comic. This is the editor's note, by the way. But then you get where he's telling you to write in letters, and he's like, your letters will be in issue 10. That is, if there is an issue 10, and then there wasn't, because they didn't make an issue 10. So yeah, this whole letters page, knowing that this is the last one, just kind of seems really sad that they never made another one. You can tell they were scrambling, and that's probably why this is shorter, is they probably threw it together at the last minute because they didn't think they would do an issue 9. But yeah, overall kind of sad, and there is I think that's an alternate cover for issue 8, and they print it really small. If you do a cover gallery, do full pages, but there's a really small cover alternate for issue 8 here, and it's Sarah Palin chasing the Ghoul Lunatics with a hockey stick and saying, I thought we got rid of you guys in the 50s. It's a so-so joke, but I mentioned this in Night of the Living Dead 3D Reanimation, where they did a Sarah Palin parody character. No one remembers the vice president for the guy that didn't win the election. You know, a vice presidential hopeful. It's so weird to see these Sarah Palin parodies in 2020 where they're not relevant anymore. But anyway, the rest is full of these ads. Papercutz slices, which is their parody thing. So that's what fills out all the pages. Hairy, potty, and the deathly boring. But yeah, they were kind of leaning into parody to make some sales, it seems like. Overall, kind of sad to see it go this way. Yeah, it was bigger to celebrate that they were back, but overall, it just feels like it's a bad version of Mad Magazine and not Tales from the Crypt. And overall with this one, I was pleasantly surprised. It wasn't super great, but it was a fine, good enough read. This one, though, it didn't click with me. And I mean, I hate to be negative, but I do want to be honest, and yeah, I just wasn't feeling this volume. But that being said, if I see any of the other 7 volumes that I don't have here, I'll pick it up and review it. It's just, I'm not having super much luck finding Tales from the Crypt stuff in any stores and online, expensive, and but I'll be back with more Tales from the Crypt comics as soon as I find more. I dig through used bookstores all the time, so I'm sure I'll be back before too long with this stuff. But I will be on the channel doing other stuff. I do a comic every week, and other than that, I cover like 95% horror movies on this channel. At the end of the video, there'll be a playlist that pops up at the bottom. That should be for my Tales from the Crypt and other EC Comics stuff, so this will be in there, but a lot of reviews for the HBO show. Anyway, to everyone who's made it this far, thank you for watching, and to everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping out this channel, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Have a good day.